the white woman looks like.
Sure.
Which, no shade to white women. They're beautiful in their own right, but as are we.
Yeah.
You know, just the way we are with every kink. And I'm not talking about just the 2C, 3C hair girlies. I'm talking about the 4D hair. It's a drink. You know what I'm saying?
It's super kink.
Super kink. It's beautiful. And so we weren't taught to embrace that. We were taught, like everything else, to kind of hide that.
Yeah.
You pack that down. You don't let anybody see that part of you as if it was shameful, something we should be ashamed of. And why should we be ashamed of something that God specifically created?
That's a great question. And it seems so 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for us as Black women, especially if you're in a space where your looks are key.
Yep.
It shouldn't be to where we're just now getting able to rock bald heads and natural hair and locks. Like, that shouldn't just now be happening, but it is.
It is.
How did Miss Alopecia creep up in your life?
Listen, Miss
She crept up on me.
Oh,
How did she creep up on you?
She crept up on me. She came through the door kicking. Like, she was like, let me in this thing. I went natural and was natural for quite a few years. And then I started noticing thinning in the top of my head. At this point, I was going to my girl, Niecy. Shout out to Niecy, every outdoor realtor in Houston, Texas now as well.
Good.
Of innovative hair salons. But Niecy, who I love, if I had hair, would still be going to her.
You air 1.2 seconds.
Right.
With a wig.
Exactly. I had one on last night.
Yes.
Niecy was doing my hair and would notice some thinning. I was noticing the thinning as well. And at one point, both of us had come to the conclusion, like, maybe it's stress. Because I was very stressed around that time, like just life. And it would come and go. So it wouldn't be as bad. And so then when I went super, super natural, I kind of stopped going to Niecy as much and was trying to do my own little natural hairstyles and stuff, child. And what I was noticing was that the balding was spreading. So what I was doing was finding hairstyles where I could cover it. Because the first thing was that I was in denial. I didn't know what alopecia was, but I knew that whatever was going on with my head at that point, after the time had passed, that it was definitely more than stress. Because I was like, I must be subconsciously stressed 24/7 if this is the case, because this hair is just falling out like crazy. And so then maybe about a year after that, after a year of just trying to, I was in denial, covering it up. I think I heard the term for the first time, or I saw a video or something. And then I started doing the research. And then I was like, I wonder. But then I kind of went right back into denial. And then that's when women were putting the henna in their hair. And it was like, henna's going to make your hair grow. I done bought every henna kit. I'm in the house, head looking like a
Hey, how come as a collective, as a Black, as the culture, as a collective, then too, when we start losing our hair, it's so hard for us to process. Y'all want to massage the what is it? The pore. You need to get my blood circulating. Y'all just want to come up with things instead of just embracing what's just not meant to be anymore.
Yeah, it's hard. I covered it for years. I covered it until almost my 5-year anniversary will be this December. I'll be 5 years as a baldie. And so I covered it for almost 5. Oh, not okay. I'm bad at math. That ain't right. But I've been a while.
And you make it look so amazing.
Thank you.
You make listen. When my hair came out of that brush after cancer treatment, I just knew I was gonna go back to just bop. And soon as I went to wash and comb, all of the hair came out with it. And I literally booked a hairstylist. And I was like, okay, it's all right. It's just like,
that denial is real.
It's looking in. It's just a little thin. I'm still going to be beat outside soon. Girl, went to that beautician. My mother said, "You're holding on.
Yeah. You're holding on.
You're struggling.
Yeah.
You need to let it go." And in that, if y'all don't know, in that blue and red, like the blue ensemble I have in my bio, the red background, that ponytail was holding on to a mustard seed.
Not a mustard seed.
Shout out to that girl in Milwaukee who did my ponytail for my photo shoot in Chicago because I had no hair. And I was just like, please, I need a ponytail. That girl, like, she whipped in Nate. She whipped in Nate. And after that, I was like, you gotta let it go.
Yeah.
You gotta let it go. And I had no choice but to let it go. And to be very quite honest with you, when I got that big chop and got that cut, it was the most liberating feeling ever. I was like, and so why didn't I do this a long time ago? Like,
society's approval. That's how I was. Yeah. I started wearing locks. I figured out how to do my own faux locks. Mm-hmm. And then my homegirl Cam was doing my locks as well. And I wore locks for like a year and a half, almost 2 years out here straight. And one day I went into the bathroom and I took them down because I wear them in a bun at the top or like pulled back. And they fell down, and it was just bald in the middle. Just bald. And I just looked.
So what did that trauma look like in that moment?
So again, it's so crazy. Denial is strong because I was in denial, but also not in denial. Like I knew I was losing my hair, but there was a part of me that was like, God is going to restore every follicle. He gonna restore every follicle. So in my head, you know, one of my goals was I was like, when I turn 40, I'm locking my real hair. So I had been wearing these locks, you know, and my real hair was kind of slowly locking. So I took these locks out. I don't know what I thought was going to happen when I took, because I don't. They were all down and it was bald in the middle, right? Nobody else could see. But if you walked in that bathroom, it was George Jefferson going on. And so then I took out the faux locks and my little twiggy locks was like, stretched out this far, but the ball was still there. The follicles was not restored by the Lord. They were not. Nope. And I looked in the mirror and I said, you have got to stop.
You have to let it go?
You got to let this go. It's time. And I walked in. My mom was visiting. Chica was here. She was sitting in the living room watching TV or on the phone with my auntie, Kecia. I can't remember which one. And I walked through the living room to the kitchen. I grabbed the scissors and I walked back to the bathroom. And all I remember is her looking over and being like, girl, what's wrong with your hair? And then she went back to whatever she was doing. Meanwhile, I'm having a whole crisis meltdown in the bathroom. And so I'm standing in front of the mirror with the scissors. And I was just like, it ain't nothing in the middle. So I just started cutting them. Nothing. And I just cut all my little locks off. And then it was just patches of peach fuzz. And I just cried and cried. And then Chica got up and came in the bathroom. And she was like, what's going on?
Like a person was laying on the floor.
Yeah, she was looking at all the little locks. And I was like, and I was just crying. I didn't even have to say anything. And she was like, it's okay. It's just hair.
It's just hair.
It's just hair. And I was like, but I'm balding in now.
However, as a baldy, there are some incredible movements now with Baldwin, i.e. Felicia Flores and BaldyCon.
That's BaldyCon.
Right? Like, there are some amazing movements with it right now. The Dallas Cowboy cheerleader who is now rocking her bald head. It's so many spaces for baldies. And again, for those women who feel like, I don't want to do the bald thing because my man may not find it appealing. Oh, touche. Oh, touche. There are a lot of them who actually love it. Because it's really you in your authentic, natural state.
Yes. There's nothing more beautiful than a woman who is in her authentic state, than a person who is in their authentic state. And being in your authentic state it doesn't matter what the state, the physical state is. It's you being in a place of acceptance,
Yes,
and love, and genuine, like, this is who I am.
yes.
And I like who I am. Do I look like everybody else?
No.
But I was never meant to.
Just that's not my ministry to look like that ministry.
Exactly.
Like,
yep.
And I think that's what I always loved about you, is you embrace your own realm of being, and I love it.
I'm a total weirdo. I love it though.
Absolutely not. Like, I could go, and if you know me, I'm the dramatic friend.
You are dramatic.
Yes. So I'll be like, Shay, the car just stopped on the side of the road. The tire went out. My finger fell off. And this happened.
And then you're going to twirl and faint.
And Shay's going to be like, okay. So do we want to talk to God? And it's just going to be the same way. However, I look at you in awe, especially when we were together in September. The stuff you've been through, Shay. It's like, what? It's your trauma is mind-blowing, but your triumph is impeccable. Like, you would never know. You would never, ever know. And just recently, we're going to dive into what happened recently. And to me, I feel we were already close, already super close. But that moment brought us, like,
yes.
She sent me this voice message.
Yeah.
I sat on the bed like this. Emotional walls, girl. We don't cry. We agree those like with the fame. We don't cry. But when I was teared up, I was like, I love her down. Okay.
Oh, I love you too.
But what was it, like 2-3 weeks of like life-changing stuff?
Oh my God. It has been
talk about it. Like talk about it, because when I tell you God did his big one,
I don't even know if him doing his big one is enough to say, but 1000%, like, I am still processing everything.
I'm quite sure.
I am still processing everything, but I will say this, like, when it was just such a whirlwind of things, right? You think that, I don't want to say that we think that it can never happen to us, because that's a given. Like, most people think that things can't happen to them, but I don't think we really understand how differently things affect you when it's not directly affecting you. So because I have when I tell you Kecia is my baby, she's my baby. I will fight.
And we have both pulled up to scene.
I'm talking about the unsaved version.
The unsaved versions of ourselves have pulled up.
Yes, I will fight over this one. And so it's like, so your story has always, you are literally one of the strongest women that I know. I hold strength from your existence, because I'm like, oh my God, like, my friend has been through, you say I've been through things and am resilient. Baby, most people would not be able to survive what you have been through and are going through. Do you hear me? So I'm grateful to have a front row seat in your life to watch and witness God do his big one for you and in you and through you. And so having a friend so close that is a cancer survivor, and even Toya having survived breast cancer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it was far removed from me. Like, we had prayer calls about this, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, but even still, when the doctor told me, you have colon cancer, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Who? me? Ain't nobody else in this room. What are you questioning this man for, right? That it was just because it came so left field. And it's one of those things where immediately, like when I told people, everybody said, you were running and you were working out. And it's like, because that even ran through my mind. I was like, I was trying to eat right. I was trying to keep the stress low, but listen, I was trying to, exercise and do the things. But what that taught me is that what God's will for you in your life is God's will. You can do all the things you think you're supposed to do that are right, but if it is your will, it is your will. And so here I am running and exercising, and then all of a sudden, what I think is food poisoning is my intestines twisting inside of themselves, and me being rushed to the emergency room, and then them doing emergency surgery, and me having to have a hemicollectomy, all of that stuff, honey. Child, I can't pronounce the word, but and remove my colon or part of my colon and my intestines and my appendix. I was just like, so this not food poisoning?
I mean, because it's like you don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I'm like, do y'all have the right chart? I came in here because my stomach hurt and I got food poisoning. They're like, no, ma'am, if we don't get you in surgery in an hour, you're gonna die. What? I'm sorry, this makes no sense. I don't feel like I'm about to, I mean, the pain was definitely up there, but I actually likened it to labor pains, and I ain't never had a child before, but I was like, Lord, I really ain't have no kids after them, because these coming like contractions.
Yeah, those contractions something else.
Yeah, I was like, is this what my friends that got kids went through? No, thank you. And so then that was stressful enough, but I was like, okay, God, it was terrifying because I'd only had one surgery before in my life, and it wasn't a serious surgery. So this is a major surgery, and I was like, okay. But I did it. I had the surgery. God woke me up. Apparently I was ready to go. I was telling everybody goodbye, according to the nurses in the operating room. But, it's cool. And so then healing after that, and then going for a follow-up, I was just thinking it was a follow-up. And then I got there, and, he's like, well, the tumor did come back as colon cancer. I was like, wait, what tumor? What? Do you have the right file again? I am very confused. So yeah, it was very up and down. And then going, spending that week of being like, wow, like
Processing.
I have colon cancer.
So that processing
the processing is wild, because you literally go through all the things. I don't know if this was your experience, which I'm sure it was, or similar.
It just happened so fast.
Yes.
It just happened so fast,
Yes.
And when she came in, I mean, it clearly had to have been something traumatic, right? Because I was in so much pain for so long.
See?
And so when she sat down and said the pain was that magnitude because it was a tumor and it's cancer, then it was just like, wait, okay, so what now? And for me, because I have my offspring, my baby, I immediately was like, okay, so you say my kid ain't gonna have no mama?
Right?
Like,
you go immediately to death.
Right. I want to say Courtney was like she was the last person. I called the last person I was on the call list. I was like, girl, they said I got cancer. And I ain't gonna be no mama no more. I just put on this rabbit hole.
You go it downhill. The first thing I remember coming out my mouth is, God, you gonna take both my mama kids from her? Like, that's the first thing I thought about. I went straight to dying. I was like, well, dang, like, our little family tree is about to end, right? It's just me and my brother, from my mom. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, God, why would you do this to her? I'm sad for Chica. And it's so crazy that's where we immediately go. You immediately went to Journey Not Gonna Have a Mom.
And it's because and for me, my grandfather passed away from pancreatic cancer. And I watched him suffer. And I remember flying to Milwaukee, seeing him, and in the middle of the night, he would be in so much pain. He would be rocking in the middle of the night with his Bible, just crying. Because pancreatic cancer is from what I'm told, one of the roughest cancers to treat. And so he was in internal pain. And so I will just walk by there and I'll be like, I couldn't even do anything about it, you know? So it was crazy 2 years later, understanding that same pain. And I was just like, you know, me educating and advocating the way that I do and making sure you came on and shared your testimony and how God just totally did his big one was because some people wouldn't go to the hospital. There are people who are afraid to go to the hospital and would not have done what you did.
I almost didn't do it. So y'all know I never get sick. And so I wasn't going to go to the hospital. I probably, if it wasn't for my coworker, shout out to Emery. She gonna be mad. I shouted her out.
Need those advocates. Oh, you need those personal advocates.
Emery was like, you need to go to the hospital and I'm going to take you to the hospital. And I was just like, cause I would have gone home because I didn't have symptoms leading up to it except for the day before. And I thought it was food poisoning. So I'm down in Pepto-Bismol. Like, I'm doing all the ad-hoc remedies. Right? I went to the cabinet. I was like, what I got in here besides vitamins? Oh, Pepto-Bismol. Is this not expired? Let me chunk some of that. Like, I was doing all the things related to stomach issues because I thought it was food poisoning. And so I would have gone home knowing me and tried to sleep it off or pop some ibuprofen or something and tried to. And luckily, Emery was very aggressive in that manner. And that doctor basically told me if you would have gone home, you would have died. And I was like, that's crazy. She's like,
how traumatic is that? And just to hear that, one decision could have totally had you up out of here.
Crazy. And this was before even knowing about the cancer. This is when they just assumed they didn't assume, they probably had an inkling, but, the intestines were twisted according to the CAT scan. And so I was like, that's crazy. And then to get the diagnosis, to process it, and then eventually I got into the point where I cried. I was sad. I mourned.
So.
And all those things. But then halfway through, I was like, you know what? I asked God to be used as a vessel. We don't get to choose how he uses us as a vessel.
Yeah.
When you ask to be used, you're opening yourself up to whatever God needs to purpose you for. And so if my purpose was to carry that cancer.
Listen, I was in Target and Nene had called me and I could hear it in her voice. So I know my best friend. I know when she's like, hey. I was like, well, hey. She was like, can I talk to you? And then she said what she said. And I was like, what? Kids. She was like, I just don't have it. She was like, I don't have it. You and her. I said, this what we about to do. Okay? Okay. That's why I wrote Cancer Could Never. Because
my God. Kecia, let me tell y'all about walking in your purpose.
Man,
baby.
We ain't finna cry. We ain't finna cry.
We don't cry. Because when God allows you to go through things, we're emotional. God gave us emotions so we could feel them, rightfully so. One thing I would love to see, and this is me talking to me too, to all my people, is that when things don't go the way you want them to go, or you think that they should go, or when you get hit left field with something, and I'm talking about the bad stuff. Like, we don't want to say that, but it's like when bad things happen to you, when things that are terrible happen to you or someone you love, I'm not saying don't feel the emotion behind it because we're supposed to.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is I feel like maybe in those moments after you go through the emotion, then sit with God and be like, God, what is this? What are you using this for? What is this? Reveal it to me. Because when you do that, and not necessarily embracing the circumstances, but to embrace the circumstances. One of my favorite verses is I found that whatever situation I'm in, to be content, right? That's me paraphrasing the Bible for all you Bible thumpers right there.
Right.
But whatever the, situation I'm in, I am content in it, whether I have little or a lot. or, you know, things are good or things are bad, you find contentment. That contentment isn't contentment in the situation, but contentment in knowing that God has you in this place for a reason and for a purpose, and that God is with you. And so it's like when we do that, I feel like you get into a space where then your obedience has room to unfold. And in Kecia's obedience of one of the many experiences that God has allowed to happen in her life, but is an understatement. Is a whole bunch is an understatement. She has become an incredible author. And it's so crazy because you being obedient, walking in your purpose, writing Cancer Could Never, probably thought that you wrote Cancer Could Never for you, when God was like, you was writing Cancer Could Never for me.
Right?
Years later, when I would be diagnosed with cancer. That's crazy. So think about if you wouldn't have written that book. That book helped me in so many ways. The recipes in the back, the trap playlist, everything, the gospel playlist.
I love my trap music.
I'm telling you, like everything. And even just the fact that I have a friend who has been through this really difficult thing. And if I need her, I will be able to lean on her strength of survival.
Absolutely.
And I'm so grateful that you were obedient in that, because you have I had to post it on my reel. I was like, I need y'all to know that this Cancer Could Never book, this is what got me through. You know, like I was just staring at the wall and people were texting and calling, and I was looking at the phone like, I shouldn't talk to nobody. Just kept staring at the wall.
And that is what it was for.
Yeah.
That's what it was for. And I didn't even realize what I was writing it for, because I'm the type that if I got some stuff piled in me, some trauma in me, I got to throw paint at the wall and I got to write.
Yes.
And soon as I heard, I was like, oh, no, we ain't. We're not even for the lean into thinking that this is gonna stick. We're not gonna lean to that. So what we're gonna do is, I want y'all to go into y'all blue box. I want you to go and I want you to get Cancer Could Never. I want you to read it. And we have this group, the Queens group.
Yes.
And Nene put it in the group. I say, just read it so y'all can know how to be there.
Yes.
For Shea.
Yeah.
Because I can speak to you from a person who survived it, but also understanding that it's hard for the people who are watching you go through it too.
Yes, because even reading your recount of how it was when you were going, I was in tears reading that. I was like, my friend was suffering so bad. Like, oh my God. Like, I knew it was bad. Obviously, we had our phone calls and things like that. And we had our prayer outside of you. We had our little prayer calls that I know about, praying over you. But it was like, I still wasn't there in the physical. And so to read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, she went through all of this. And thank you for everyone that was there for you physically, that was able to be there for you, because like,
that's the dopest support system. And you don't even realize how much you loved until something like that. It was so uncomfortable. Like it was uncomfortable.
Let me tell you something. Someone asked me not too long ago,